Welcome, welcome, everybody. So, as you guys know, I love to hang out on LinkedIn. And so, I'm really excited today to be joined by Rachel Simon, who is an amazing LinkedIn coach, someone you definitely want to know and follow. And she's just a lovely person. So, today we're going to be talking a little bit about what's happening on LinkedIn. There's been a lot of changes recently. And, take any questions from the audience. So happy to welcome Rachel. Hey,
Hey,
Rachel.
hi, good to see you. This is going to be so fun.
Yes, it is. So Rachel, we were just talking a second ago that we've been connected like at least before the pandemic. So I mean, it's been a while. How long have you actually been active on LinkedIn, may I ask?
Yeah, I think active where I've been like really creating content started in 2019. So I had been helping, started getting more and more clients from marketing consulting who needed LinkedIn help. And I was like, I better kind of show them, how it's done, right? So I needed to start creating more content. I actually took a course with Madeline Mann. She was doing a LinkedIn for Thought Leaders class, which
Mhm.
was awesome. I connected with this great community of other LinkedIn enthusiasts, and that got me becoming really a content creator. And then COVID COVID happened, and we were all, here we are at our computer with no one to talk to. So we should talk to each
Oh
other.
no. Well, at least LinkedIn gave us live streaming. I actually didn't get it at all, so I like applied like many times, and then the only time I finally got it was when creator mode was announced, so that everyone else got it. And I don't know why I just kept getting turned down.
I know
So,
it's so weird how the process was. I know lots of people were in that same position. And then, I actually I've never done I've never hosted a LinkedIn Live. I've been on tons of other people's, but I'm kind of waiting for it eventually, which they keep saying it will roll out natively on LinkedIn because
oh
the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
StreamYard restream backstage stuff. I'm like, I'll just wait.
I know the whole tech thing. I really think that they do need to do it natively, because look how easy it is to go live on Facebook. And I
Right.
barely use Facebook anymore, but the times I have gone there was usually people inviting me to participate in some event, and it was just like, "Oh, we're going live." Just so easy. So that's hopefully LinkedIn is going to put that on their list, because they're rolling out so many cool features now. They have auto captions, so they were saying that it's going to be not only on the live streams but also on the regular videos. They're going to add them, which
Yeah, I
is
just saw
awesome.
that.
Yeah, lots of new things happening. Creator mode is pretty awesome, and also the vibe has changed. Like when you started off in 2019. I mean, we both know that less than, like, I don't know, less than 10% of LinkedIn users actually produce content in general, right? So,
Yeah, I think it's even smaller. It's like we were just talking about this. Bobby, Umar, and I host a LinkedIn audio event every Tuesday. So this last Tuesday, we talked all about content. And so the stat we've both seen is it's somewhere between 1 and 3% of the 850 million users are
it's insane.
consistently creating content. So it might be that 10% are creating content, but that consistency, which I believe is like one post a week, which is pretty, kind of like the bottom for me. I feel like you everybody has the ability to get one piece of content out a week. Four things. What are four things you
I
can talk
mean,
about in a month?
it's crazy to think that we struggle so much with content. I mean, right? I don't want to be critical of people who aren't like naturally born writers. I understand that there's some people who were good in language in school, other people were better in math and science, right? I get that. But think about like modern workday. You have to regularly know how to present things, express yourself, write convincing emails. So it's surprising that we have such a hard time just like thinking, okay, what should I post? That dreaded question, right?
Yeah, and I think the fear factor, honestly, is the biggest barrier. I don't think it's the inability to communicate, because like you said, we all can communicate and kind of convey our expertise in how in multitude of ways, right? And now the beauty of LinkedIn content is that you have so many different options of what you can how you can use content, right? So if you're more visual, you can use graphics or videos or whatever. I think it's that people get caught up in, what if I don't sound as smart as I want to sound? What if people don't like my post? What if all the what ifs? And then I always say it's on everyone's to-do list, and it just gets pushed lower and lower and lower on the to-do list when all the other tasks get higher priority, which is why I like to kind of break it down to, if you had to come up with 4 things that you could talk about, everyone could come up with 4 things, particularly if you think about it for a month, right? So like October is a perfect example. Halloween, make one post about Halloween. There's one topic for you. Boom, easy.
Diwali is today, everyone.
Right.
But look, we've got people here from Barbados, from New York, from Kenya. I don't know where Kristen tuned in from, but she's here too. So that's pretty cool to see. Like, I've just always loved LinkedIn because of that international vibe. And now I'm doing LinkedIn audio rooms every week as well. I run audio rooms specifically for women, and we bring up women speakers and we talk more about issues concerning women. Although men come, like we just had Steve Helton, who is a really good speaker, come in and speak. I'm loving that new format. So I think there's just so many cool different tools we have now on LinkedIn. What do you think about newsletters? I just saw, was it you? You were the one that posted about newsletters, right? And you're not the only one. I've seen other people asking, like, should I even bother? Like, what? Because of the reach, right? Because we're thinking like the reach. But I wanted to say something about this. Did you notice what LinkedIn has done? Now, if I follow you, guess what happens? LinkedIn has an auto feature now that if I click follow, I find you and I follow you, immediately I get an invitation to subscribe to your newsletter. And I double
okay.
LinkedIn. I actually spoke with my creative manager. I asked, is this the one-time push? Because I know, and everyone listening, when you first sign up, when you first create a newsletter, one of the big advantages of doing that is the very first publication you put out, LinkedIn boosts it. And when I mean boost it, they'll put it out to normally to your whole network, which is absolutely unheard of. And remember, this is all for free. This is not like pay to play Facebook or Google. This is completely free. But afterwards, you don't get the same boost. So I know that afterwards, you post edition 2, 3, 4, 5, you don't get the same. That's a one-time boost. However, now this new feature, it's permanent. So this follow thing, if anyone follows you, they will automatically send out that request. And at first I thought this was some cool like premium feature. And I was like, and I actually asked the woman, I'm like, hey, how did you turn that on? I'm like trying to turn it on and I want to see if mine is turned on. And she's like, I didn't do anything. And so I asked my creative manager and she's like, no, it's permanent. So follow. Isn't that cool?
That makes a lot of sense, because I noticed I got a couple new, that must be brand new. I got a couple of new subscribers to my newsletter in the last week. And I was like, where'd they come from?
You're like, I must be getting popular. But I mean, this is one of the reasons I came to LinkedIn in the first place, because it's like, I don't know any other platform where you can get that much organic reach.
It's true. Yeah.
Are you on any other platforms? Like besides LinkedIn, are you like really into another platform? No.
I should be, but I'm not. I'm horrible at Instagram, like terrible at it. My teenage daughter makes fun of me.
But you don't want all those filtered selfies? Like, look at me in my workout clothes. Look at me with my dog or my cat, right?
Yeah, I probably need to diversify. If I was going to focus on something else, it'd probably be Twitter. I'm not a big Facebook fan, but no, I'm pretty much LinkedIn. And then, I have a email newsletter. So I I have that, like my list of people who subscribe to my email to make sure, because you definitely want to make sure you have your people off of LinkedIn, because sometimes people have account problems, and that's a scary thing.
That's actually a good topic. So there's a lot of good people on LinkedIn who get mistakenly labeled as bad guys, and then they get taken off, and apparently the only reason is they were too active.
It's crazy.
It's like, but doesn't LinkedIn want you to, like, isn't that the whole point of using it? Like, they should reward you for using it a lot, right?
I know. And especially if you're using it the right way, right? The organic way, where you are like, you are doing it yourself, right? You're not using automation tools and bots and Chrome extensions and any of that stuff, which we are, don't do those things. Yeah, I know. It's really tough. So that's why I think that a good rule of thumb is something I'm going to start doing, is just to take the download, the full data download once a month, and just hang on to that file. You never know what's going to happen.
Once a month, I mean, I do it like once a year. I'll be really honest. I just like to, like you, I'm like, okay, there's a precaution. In my audio room on Friday, Steve Helton, we were talking about how to stay safe on LinkedIn to avoid DMs. And he also mentioned, and I mentioned, that we both know guys who've had inappropriate messages. And then we talked about a particular case of security where one of my friends got catfished, and the person got their login and got a hold of their LinkedIn account, and they got permanently banned from LinkedIn.
It's sad.
And it's a real hassle. Once you get in trouble with LinkedIn, it's really hard to, do something. So he lost his account, and we were talking about the importance of turning on the double authentication feature.
Definitely.
So anyone listening, click on the me button, go to security, and then find that button that says double authenticate, which means basically that if someone gets in there from a different IP address and LinkedIn sees it looks suspicious, you will get like a email, and they will have to input a code that comes to your phone. So this is on all your socials. Make sure it's turned on, because let's say you're not active on Facebook, and then one day you come in there and you realize that there's some bad stuff that's happened. You're like, this is weird. If you had that turned on, at least you would get notified,
Yeah,
so
you definitely want to have that two-factor authentication. It's funny because I had a friend who had a really big issue recently with her account and had to start all over again, which is really tough. So my email newsletter that I sent last week was about how to protect your account on LinkedIn. So it was like, turn on two-factor authentication. Perfect. And I'm trying to think the other two tips I had. One was like to keep your data download. And I think one, obviously, like, behave properly. Don't do things that LinkedIn doesn't like. But that two-factor authentication is really, really important to make sure that, and just change your password every once in a while. I mean, some people are working from the same password when they started LinkedIn, in 10 years ago. It's probably like LinkedIn 2010 or something like that.
Well, I actually use LastPass. And so everyone should know that the secret is you always have to put all your passwords over 12 characters long, preferably even 16 if you're really paranoid. Lowercase, uppercase, numbers and letters and certain symbols. So if you mix it all up, and that's what you can do with LastPass, and then it just saves it for good. But yeah, speaking of like not getting banned off of LinkedIn, one of the things that's coming on right now is it's coming up more and more is AI technology. So we've seen in the past, since the lockdown, it's really exploded. I'm getting a lot of emails and some in-mails offering me AI tools. And they're like, we see you're a LinkedIn user, whatever. Like, we have this amazing tool that can really help you grow on LinkedIn. And I think there's three like functionalities that people would use a third-party tool for. And that would be schedulers like Buffer, Meet Edgar, those normally they're okay, right? I mean, we
Those are
haven't
fine. Yeah, you
got
can
done,
use
right? Those
you can use those
schedulers,
schedulers.
right?
Yeah.
And then the second is analytics. So LinkedIn, until they released the creator tool, which has been like what, 8 months?
Something like that. Yeah.
We're already October, so I want to say springtime, right? Springtime, they announced to everyone that creator mode was a thing. So we haven't had that very long, and up until then, we had no analytics for personal profiles. So if you didn't use your company a page, which no one did back in the day, you're just like, okay, I don't know, like how to see what's going on. So I've had since 2019, I've had a tool called Shield app.
Yeah, I use that
And
too.
and I've checked with LinkedIn. It seems like that's fine. That there's no issues of using Shield app. But the only thing it does is analytics. It doesn't grow your account or post for you or anything. It's just I go there and I use Shield app to check which posts did really well and then get inspired of like, how can I produce content that was maybe the same style? Maybe it was the hook that I used, or maybe it was the topic that was really hot. So I'm kind of like analyzing, why did that post do better than everything else? And then that inspires me to produce some more. But then the third thing, and this is where I think it gets problematic. So schedulers, analytics tools, they seem to be okay. But the ones that grow your account is where LinkedIn gets, that's where you get on the no-no list. And it's funny, Rachel, because a lot of people don't really know much about LinkedIn. So in the business world, I deal with people all the time. They're like, I'm kind of new at LinkedIn, or I don't really understand it yet. And they are the ones that are easy to get suckered into, oh, but I found this cool tool that's going to do everything for me.
Yes.
Right. And I know today we just were looking, there was who was it? Was it Kenneth Long? Is that the guy's
Kenneth
name?
Lang. I mean, Ken and I we actually hosted a Clubhouse room on bots and automation for like 6 months back in 2021. So this is a topic that I am very passionate about, because you're right. These tools, these third-party tools, they used to be Chrome extensions. Now a lot of them are cloud-based, and they tell you they're safe. And some of them will even tell you that they're LinkedIn authorized, which is not remotely true.
That's
No,
crazy.
it's not true. They will, they're basically accessing your account through a backdoor, for a good way to think about it, and taking actions for you. The problem with that is often, in my experience, and you see this because I promise everybody who's watching has gotten some like weird connection request or weird message. And you're like, why am I getting this? I mean, I've gotten messages about, I see you're part of a paving company. You get messages pitching you on the same service that you provide, right?
Right. Would you
Which
like
is
to
always
grow
my
your LinkedIn?
right,
You
my
would like to
favorite.
learn more about LinkedIn. You're like, did you check my profile? Right.
Right. So it tells me that the targeting is poor often. And so people that are spending money, first of all, most of them require you to spend money on Sales Navigator. And then they're spending money on top of that for bad data, right? They're not the right people. And I've gotten into it with some of the people, like back and forth, saying, I know you're using a schedule. I know you're using an automation tool. You're putting your account at risk. And some people are just like, I get business from it, so it's cool. Like,
Oh my gosh. Oh, well, that's crazy. I just posted this link. It's from the LinkedIn blog, and they have this approved marketing partners. So you can
yes.
find a partner. So I'm posting that because Gail asked, what are some of the approved schedulers? So that would be the first place I would look, Gail. What do you think? Do you know of any that you like, Rachel, or do you not use schedulers?
I don't use them. I know you can use Hootsuite and Buffer. The challenge with those, with schedulers, is that if you're doing text posts or photos, I think they work pretty well, but you can't do videos. I think videos don't upload correctly. So you're kind of limited on your content choices. I would recommend instead if you're going to take the time to write all of your content, just pop it into a Google Doc, have it there for, the next week or two. And then it takes no time at all just to grab it and post it, right? Just have it, or schedule them into your calendar, right? Schedule, like, make tasks into your calendar and put the content into the calendar appointment. So I personally don't use schedulers, mostly because of the content limitations.
So my system is really simple. I have 4 folders. I have content ideas, draft mode, to publish or ready to publish, and then videos or graphics. So that's like a separate, like the artwork folder.
Yeah.
And then and that's in Asana. I like to use Asana. I used to use Trello back in the day, but I like Asana. And so there's those 4 folders. And what I put in those folders are links to Google Docs. So everything, and the reason I use Google Docs is very simple. It's because I have a tool called Grammarly, which is a Chrome extension that connects really well. So I can do all the spell check and all of that, and word count and all that. So I'm just like, okay, and then I'll just take the link and drop it in. Or if it's a podcast, it will be a YouTube link, or Canva, if it's a Canva file. And then I have them labeled by my content bucket types, so I can quickly do a search and re-find like what posts I did about LinkedIn, for example, or what I did about, so I mean, it's not that complicated, like you said. But the reason I don't like schedulers for LinkedIn is very simple. The first hour of posting is when the algorithm's looking at your activity. So if you get into the habit of scheduling, you're probably not going to be on LinkedIn at that time. And then you're missing out on all the comments. So then in the first hour, if people start engaging with your post, you're like not there at all. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I see people doing. They're like, I'm going to post at 7 a.m. to make sure people read it. And they actually don't go on LinkedIn until the evening. And I'm like, then what's the point? Right. You just, miss that whole, so let's see. Gail says videos and posts don't upload properly for the schedules. Yeah, I would not use them, Gail. I mean, it's the one thing I've heard though is LinkedIn has announced that they're going to let us schedule. So do you know anything about that? You don't have that yet, right?
I don't. I saw that. So okay, right now what you can do is that you can save a draft. Like,
yes, that I've tried.
So that's like one workaround. So let's say, it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening, you want to queue up your post for the next day. You can basically draft it and just close it. It'll be there when you click back into start a post. At some point, there is going to be a scheduler. I've seen screenshots of that, but I'm not sure if it's like if you can queue up multiple posts or if it's just for your next post. So that will be interesting.
I don't know if anyone has the beta, but we got to keep tabs on all you LinkedIn coaches who are like on. I love it because if one person doesn't know, someone else knows. So
Kevin Turner, Kevin, he always knows everything. I jokingly refer to him as like the Walter Cronkite of LinkedIn. Like he's always got the breaking news of like, here's the new feature.
Breaking news.
Yeah. It's really, it'll be it is long overdue to have schedulers on there. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I just saw, Gail's comment about that.
I think everyone did that at some point. They're like, oh, they thought it was a great idea. And they're like, well, my posts aren't doing very well. Why not? Right.
Yeah. So it's so funny. I had a call with a guy earlier today, and he was, we were talking about his overall strategy, and he sent me the post of a friend of his that posts a lot and doesn't get engagement. And he was like, why do you think that? And I looked at this post and it looked like a good topic, but there were 2 mistakes that this person made. There was no way, nobody was going to comment because there was nothing to comment on. There was no question. There was no circle it back to, there was no way to engage with the post. It was what I would call a megaphone post, right? Where you're basically like standing, holding a megaphone, talking at people. Versus, because you can't have a conversation with a megaphone. How do you do that? just asking a question to get people to circle back into the conversation makes such a big difference. And then the other piece was he said that this person was posting like multiple posts a day. And that works on other platforms, but LinkedIn doesn't want that.
No, it's not Twitter.
It messes up. It messes you up. If you post, there's a few people that can post a couple, like multiple times a day. I think like Joel Lalji, who's an amazing recruiter, has like massive following. He, I think, posts in the morning and the evening, but he's got, 100,000 plus people in his network, and he's super active.
Justin Welsh does too. He teaches that. Justin Welsh. He does an AM, PM.
But most normal users can't do that. We don't have the network and the like community to stack them one on top of the other. So if you're posting, at 10, at 8, and then at 10, and then at noon, it's like they're all going to cannibalize each other.
So I've done multiple posts per day, but if I do, I try to keep it minimum 4-hour window, ideally 6. A 6-hour window actually will work.
Okay.
And the day of the week that has gotten me the most views, because I use my analytics tool.
I bet it's Saturday.
It's Saturday. The reason is it's just this amazing that's where you really feel the power of the organic reach. Because it's like I'll post twice a day on the weekends because I know that those posts are going to do well. It's just because more people are like free to come on and check, and they spend a little bit more time on day. I think Sunday is the biggest day where people spend the most time on LinkedIn. And it's really ironic because we're talking about, family time. But remember, LinkedIn has become a social platform. So people have more time to catch up. And if I have a newsletter or we were talking about articles and stuff like that, only on the weekends. Why is that? Is because during the week, people are just too busy. They just don't have enough time. They might save it and bookmark it or a podcast. I do them on the weekend because that's when more people will listen,
That's so interesting. So I 100% knew you were going to say Saturday about the day of the week. And I'm not surprised about Sunday too. This is where, I think that old myth of like, don't post on the weekend on LinkedIn is like, throw that one out the window. A lot of people, I put myself in the category. I spend time on Sunday preparing for the week ahead. Right. What do I have on my calendar? What are my major to-dos I need to knock out? I spend an hour maybe on a Sunday making sure I'm ready to hit the ground running on Monday. And again, I know as entrepreneurs, like we're working all the time, but I would imagine that if you are, an employee, you're probably doing something similar, getting yourself mentally prepared for what's coming. So it makes sense to me that Sunday is a day where people are going to be able to, they're at their computer, they wrap up their to-do list and they're like, oh, let's see what's happening on LinkedIn. Who's around today? It makes total sense.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing. But I think the secret, what you said that mistake that person was making was not to have any engagement in there, not to have something that was like circle back with me. Do you have any other tips like that you think have you see hundreds, thousands of posts by now. So what do you think makes a really good post? Is there like a secret sauce, Rachel?
Yeah, it depends on the person, right? I think there goes with a couple of things. Number one, you build almost like your friend groups on LinkedIn, right? You have your community, you've got your people who you engage with their content, you built relationships with them. So of course, like when they post, them because you've gotten to know them. And so you always have something to share and to contribute to what they're saying. I think the general rule of thumb is, again, everybody's different. So some people, love to read like the one line, like, but, you know what I'm talking about? Like the
bro poetry. Is that
I hate it. I personally hate it. I can't read it. Like my brain can't process it when posts are written like that. So if I click see more and it's like this much one line at a time, I'm just going to keep on scrolling.
the secret sauce we need.
I hate it. I think it's got to be sincere. You can tell when somebody's like being sincere. There's one guy I'm connected to. He literally writes a dad joke every single day. And every day I read it and I shake my head and laugh. But I will always comment on his content because I think it's cringy funny in a way. I commented today because my husband also is a big fan of dad jokes. And I was like, I tagged my husband in the comment and was like, meet your new best friend. Have fun.
Oh.
Be sincere, be who you are. You start to build your personal brand and people know what to expect from you. Some people are pretty, they tell it like it is. For other people, that kind of content wouldn't work for them. It wouldn't land because it's not who they are. But no matter what, I think you always need to figure out what is it that I want my audience to do. So ask a question or share an experience, hey, have you ever had something like this happen? Share your experience in the comments. Like tell them what you want them to do. If the post is about your business, because we still have to talk about what we do, right? The worst thing is when somebody's like, they've been following you for a while and they're like, what exactly is your business? It's like, what do you do? That's not good. You need people to know what you do.
I'm an integrator. I'm an activist. There's all these funny titles, right? You're like, I have no idea what that is, but you do you.
Right, exactly. But like, if you're talking about what you do, your services that you offer, well, make sure people know how do they avail themselves of those services. Are you asking them to DM you? Do you want them to do you have a download for them? That's a lead magnet. Like, what are you asking them to do? So those kinds of posts where you're talking about your business and you're sort of promoting yourself, they may not do as well as some of your other content, but it might convert more customers. It probably will. So you just got to mix it up and always kind of think about, what am I looking to achieve with this post? Do I want people to have a conversation? Do I want them to hire me or reach out or learn more about what I do? Or am I just, I just had an idea and I need to throw it out there for the world to consume and see how it lands.
You know how I've been teaching people is in general, not just on LinkedIn, but for content strategy all over the place. I say, imagine that you come to a platform and you say, I'm new here. Who should I follow? And someone says, you should follow Rachel Simon. And I ask why. Like, what's so special about her? Like, why should I follow her? And they're like, because she is so amazing. She has all this LinkedIn knowledge. She posts always all the tips. Like, you want to bookmark her page because then you'll always be in the know. You'll understand LinkedIn quicker. And she's just funny and nice. And you just love her content. That's the kind of stuff I'm thinking, like, what would someone else say about me if they didn't know me? Like, why should you follow me? What do I talk about? And then you kind of get the sense of what impression you may be giving other people. What kind of things do they retain about you? And that's good. That's good as well, because we know that people buy from you based on, know, like, and trust factor. So we have to always be hitting up all those emotions as well. So I would like you, but I would never buy from you if you're never posting about your business. But I think there's ways of getting around it. I don't think you have to be like all like black or white. I think I just posted about my, I'm doing a workshop tomorrow. I do workshops every month that are paid. And I posted that with my new favorite feature, which is the clickable link. Don't you love those?
That is a good feature. Yes. That's a good feature.
And by the way, people, we need to talk about that. People don't seem to understand that about this clickable link. Very few people are using it. And I even saw someone like put the, link is in the first comment thing recently. I'm like, that's over now. You don't need to do that anymore. That was 2019-ish, right?
Yeah, so I will say my only issue with the clickable link is that you have to do it on your phone. And I'm really, I'm all thumbs when it comes to creating content on my phone. It does not come naturally to me. So that's my only beef with it. I wish that hopefully it'll roll out on the desktop at some point.
What kind of phone do you have? What
I have an
system?
iPhone. I have an
Okay,
iPhone.
you're on iPhone, and then your computer, is it a Mac version or is it
It's
a
a Mac, yeah. So I know I need to just like create the content and copy and paste it. It's just I just don't enjoy creating content on my phone personally.
So you don't have to create on your phone. The reason I asked you is what I do. I'm also a Mac user. So I create my content in Google Docs on my computer, just like always, because I don't
Yeah.
want to mess up my systems. I got my systems down, right? So I got my post on my Google Doc. And then I can either open my Google Doc from my phone with the app, or I can email myself. And then
Yeah.
I copy it. So at least it's on my phone then, but I didn't have to create it because I'm like you. I don't not like typing. And it's so funny because I think I'm just old now. Because you know
Me
when you
too.
see like teenagers, they're like, "What computer? Like I don't use that." It's just like
Oh, and their fingers are like
I actually coach this woman who is running like a 7-figure business and barely knows how to turn on her computer.
Oh
And I
my
was like,
God.
and she literally is like, we'll be sitting together and she'll be like, her computer will be open and she'll be doing Canva on her phone, typing the post on her phone, saving things. And I'm like, you're doing like some major, she'll even be trying to update stuff for her website on her phone. And I'm like, you understand that this stuff is like, a little bit, I guess there's people who are like that, right? But
I guess I'm not that person. I'm the one that like I can't see anything on my phone without putting my reading glasses on. So that's me.
so I think, Android, Microsoft, you can do a similar thing. Microsoft has a program, I think it's called OneNote. Am I mistaken? It's
Yes, that's
OneNote.
correct.
So you can save stuff there just like you would Google Docs. And then I'm a cloud person because what I mean by that is I don't store anything on either of my devices. And I also have an iPad because I've had my computer stolen. I've had it broken. One time I didn't have a computer for 3 months because there was some mistake, then they couldn't fix it. They had to redo it. And so I was like, oh my God. So it just kept going back and forth. And so I was like, you know what? It's so good. If everything's in the cloud, then you just have a backup computer. You log in with your Apple info and it finds all your files. You log in with your Google info and it finds all your files. You log in with your website, your socials, everything is on the cloud.
That's exactly how I roll too. I mean, it's yeah, it's all Dropbox and
Dropbox,
all
yep,
that
exactly.
stuff. Yep. It's a good way to do it, but I'm glad but let's go back to that clickable link because that's a good, to your point.
Yes. So you have to have a phone.
Right. It's a great resource and you can put more than one link on a post. So let's say you have, you can direct people to, more than one place, although it's hard. Use that carefully. Brenda Meller's done that in a few posts.
I don't think I've done that. I've only put in one link, but to be honest, I think that sometimes I don't even notice the link. I've had people ask me, so where's the link? And I'm like, it's on the photo. But I've done it as well. But yeah, I think this is a really, really good feature. I don't know, can you use it with multiple images or not yet?
I don't think
it's just one, right?
I think it's just the one.
I'm do some experimenting. But speaking of that, the carousel feature, I think I have an advanced version of carousels where you can embed video in them.
Yeah, I've seen those. I don't have that yet.
What do
you think? I've heard it's meh.
Honestly, I think I tried to use it once and then it's a little complicated to use. Like it's not really, like you said, when you're a PC or computer person and you have to go to your phone, you have to save everything on your phone. And I think if I would be like a TikTok person, I would probably have no problem using this feature because I have seen a few people post things like that where they embedded like one of their TikToks into the carousel. And so I guess it's more just a preference. What has disappointed me though is the carousel templates. So they've released these. They're like, oh, we're so pleased. Look, we're helping you creators So if you click on carousel, you'll see a little link underneath that says like choose from one of our Canva templates from LinkedIn to help you, right? But the templates are so basic and boring.
Oh, I haven't seen, since I don't have the feature, I haven't seen it. Are you talking about those, or because there's also those templates that are in the image posts, like that are also in
that's
your
what I'm
phone. And
talking
I
about.
think those are very bleh.
That's what I was talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And it's disappointing because the carousels are, I think everyone has to do a carousel because
Like
I love
these,
carousels.
right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, these
I
are
mean,
kind of boring.
they're just kind of, there's not a lot of options. When you see some of the great carousels that are doing really, really well, they're really well done. And I wish that LinkedIn would give us something of that quality. So I guess
Yeah,
we're asking too much. We're getting spoiled, right? With all these
we are.
features.
I do love, I mean, I love making carousel posts. If anybody, anybody out there, if you have a blog on your website that's like tips, like 5 things for this, 10 things for this, you got to take those tips and turn that into a carousel. Those, like, content like that is just like screaming to be created into a carousel, because each tip is just another page in your carousel. Like, they're so easy to consume. They're fun to create. Once you kind of design your first template, you can just reuse it. That's what I do. I just recreate it for whatever I'm trying to do for the next one. Make sure your logo's on there and keep a call to action.
Call to action.
The end.
Last slide, right? Everyone's like, oh, I got my 5 tips. Bye. And I'm like, what's the 6th slide? You have to have, and that one you can reuse. So it could be, your photo and your link or something
right.
to tell them,
Yeah, mine now is the last one I did, because I put a assessment. I have like a LinkedIn leverage scorecard. So it's like a little quiz people can take. And that's what I have for my closer slide. It's like, here's,
sweet.
You can text a number to, text a word to a number and you get it to take. So
speaking of scorecard, are you using the Scorecard app by Daniel Priestley? No,
I don't know about that. I'm using an application called Magpie. You can create different assessments.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, I don't know Magpie. But there is an actual product called the Score app. And it's a really cool tool. Yeah, it's a cool tool. But I'm a big fan as a business coach in terms of call to actions. I'm a big fan of assessments, because I think that we all, curiosity. I mean, I want to know how I scored. I want to know what type I am, what video content producer type I am, or what, how I score on my LinkedIn. Am I doing okay? So there's just this natural curiosity. And so that's a really good way to build your email list, because we spoke about this at the very beginning. LinkedIn is not the whole world. Hello, people. You gotta, we see this when people get suspended. We see this when there's, a big drop in engagement, which I don't know. I've had that too, but you know what? People are like, what's going on? I'm like, look, LinkedIn boosts you when you're new. So it gives you an extra boost. So I notice this with my clients. When they first get active on LinkedIn, they get higher engagement. If they immediately start implementing, a content strategy, they're like posting regularly, like, wow, this is cool, I'm getting engagement. And I'm like, yeah, that's how it works. But then there will be a dip sooner or later. And so, the algorithms change. You changed.
I mean, at the end of the day, we are guests in their home. I mean, they're running the show. They could change things at any time. They could switch something that we used to get for free to a pay to play. Like, we have absolutely no idea what their long-term plans are. And again, I referenced him earlier, but Kevin Turner is so good at always, what are all the new updates? And I remember, he said, like, in 2021, there were over 60 new updates and features to LinkedIn in 1 year. So the platform that we have today is totally different than what we had 2 years ago. Not totally different, but there's a lot of new changes and updates, right? They've put so much more focus on creators. They're trying to attract a younger audience. Like, we don't know what their long-term plans are, and we are their guests. So we need to make sure that we have our house in order in case at some point we are asked to, pay more rent or something like that.
Yeah, I'm going to put his contact info in here too, because he is really a valuable resource. There's a lot of good people, but I just realized something. Do you know that his customized URL is called LinkedIn.com Inc. President? Look at this. Who would put a name like that?
Time on it. Oh, it's for his that's so funny.
That's funny. He would get that out of 640.
He's been a user. I mean, I think he's been on the platform since the very, very, very early days.
Wow. Yeah, he's got some great info. And that's good because the LinkedIn blog doesn't really give us a lot of value. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good, but it's not consistent. I mean, they don't post on a monthly basis or something. They have pick and choose when they post and what they post. So, and LinkedIn actually has a YouTube channel as well. So sometimes I go into
I didn't know that.
You go to YouTube and look up LinkedIn marketing, LinkedIn creators. And that's another thing. I really want anybody listening. Now that LinkedIn has this whole creator mode, they have a creator team. They did hire a bunch of people. They have a director of creative, a whole team of people, creative managers, and they're pretty active. I was in a few audio rooms recently where the creative team from LinkedIn was talking about various topics. So I would just keep your eye, everyone listening, YouTube, because that's where they keep the replays of some of these videos.
Interesting.
Okay. And then we also do LinkedIn audio only rooms, which aren't recorded. You have to find out about them. But that's why you should follow the hashtags, hashtag LinkedIn creators.
They have a page too. So if you can follow the LinkedIn for Creators page. You could also do a search of creator manager, put that in quotes, and you probably will see all the creator managers who work for LinkedIn. I did have a creator manager, and then I don't have one anymore, and I can't seem to get LinkedIn to respond to me to get a new one.
Well, you know what's going on right now in the whole economy. There's a lot of cutbacks and restructuring, and so I'm sure they'll get that straightened out because
we'll see.
But at the same time, LinkedIn has just announced a bunch of new creators who they've accepted into their programs, right? So I know in England,
they're in the UK. Yeah,
in the UK, there's a big team of them.
So they had an accelerator here in the US about a couple months ago, and now they just, I think, kicked off. They had one in India, a creator accelerator. I think they had 100 creators based in India, and then they just launched in the UK. So I haven't seen the whole list. I'll have to go and check it out. I know two people I know who were accepted were Robert Hanna, who's an attorney, and he's super active. He was an audio beta tester, and Nick Rayburn, who's an awesome video guy and just cool guy extraordinaire.
LinkedIn is amazing. I mean, I can't just rave enough about the people I've met on LinkedIn.
100%. Yes.
It's just hands down. And I used to do LinkedIn locals.
Oh, I want to do one of those in Atlanta. I really, really want to do a LinkedIn local.
Yes.
That's a goal of mine for next year, is to put one together, because I don't believe there is one here. I don't think I know of one here.
Back in the day, LinkedIn Local was 2017. So when I came in, it had already been out about a year, because I'm about a year ahead of you, which means I came in 2018, where I suddenly came to LinkedIn. I was like, wow, this is a cool place. And I found out about Anna McAfee, who is the founder of LinkedIn Local. She just was a LinkedIn user, but also a coach who started a movement, and she actually published a book. She's based in Australia, and she published a book about community building. She's a really cool person. And she actually had a Slack channel back in the day where everyone was communicating. So you could type in your city, you could find, and it went through her website. She actually created a web page, but then it directed you there, and there was constantly new people coming in there. And that's how we organized events, but real events. I know.
Yeah.
And now that COVID's over, I'm still in France, but
Yeah.
I'm such a social butterfly. I would love to do that again. So I, highly recommend if you get a chance to just go ahead and do one, because there is no more official organization we don't have that Slack channel thing going anymore. But you can just reach out also on LinkedIn and just see who else would be interested, or through
for
your own
sure.
network. Because that's how I met a lot of people. I want to just say though that I do believe like you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. So at least with my clients, I say you should have a second channel that you're actively growing as well, because what I'll tell you, the secret is the people who you meet on LinkedIn will follow you over there. Like as soon as I opened a TikTok account, who do you think started following me? Immediately it was like, so, and TikTok notifies you. It's not like LinkedIn where like, so someone has viewed your profile.
Right.
Stalker.
So secretive.
Do you want to upgrade? Do you want to reactivate your premium account so you can see? And on TikTok, it's just open. So it's like, Rachel viewed your profile. Do you want to follow her? And I'm like, sure. So I'm seeing all these people from LinkedIn over on TikTok, or now I'm on Twitter. And it's funny because there's people who are like big wigs over on LinkedIn, but on Twitter, they have like no followers. And one of them posted like, what do people even do here? And this is someone who on LinkedIn has like over 100K followers. On Twitter, she's like, what the heck are we doing here? And I'm like, I don't know.
I've been scrolling. I think that's what people do on Twitter, is they just doom scroll.
No, actually, but I think Twitter is probably right now my favorite platform as a secondary platform, just because I'm kind of not into the whole look at me thing that's happening. So once in a while, the mood strikes me, I'll do a TikTok and then I'll repurpose it on Instagram. That's like and on YouTube Shorts. But I don't make that part of my mainstream thing.
Yeah, it can get really overwhelming.
I think the people who are doing it way, like they're way in. They're like, I got to do 5 per week and I got to keep it up and I got to do, and they're spending so much time doing it. And I'm like, okay, you're building your popularity, but as a business owner, how is that serving you? So I understand visibility, but is it converting? So I'll do anything if it converts. Yeah. But what I'm seeing is popularity, because you're entertaining people and they're like liking what they see, but they're not at all interested in further conversations. Yeah. Like LinkedIn, we actually take it offline. Like we're like, let's have a virtual coffee. Let's start connecting with each other, right? Where TikTok, it feels a lot more like, overwhelming. Like it's like being at a rave, like a party. It's like, you're like, whoa, I just met like 500 people in 10 seconds. Oh my God, And so I'm more about relationships, because I think that for business owners, B2B, that's what matters. And I know some people are getting how to do that on TikTok, but I think it's a lot harder to do. So you're going to have to go through a lot more loopholes to get it. There was what we have here on LinkedIn for no effort.
Yeah. There was somebody, I was listening to an interview with a woman who she, is a sales coach, and she had invested quite a significant amount of money, like $10,000, $15,000 for a couple of months to engage somebody to help her with a TikTok strategy. And she got a ton of, eyeballs, and did not convert one customer. And she was like, that's it. We're done with this now. Thank you very much.
I actually was at a conference, a women's summit in Geneva. And it was they were talking a lot about TikTok, and a lot of people were like, okay, I paid influencers to help me on TikTok. And the same thing. It was like not a single sale, nothing happened.
Yeah. I've actually had good luck finding somebody who can help me create a very, I have a very small budget for Google ads every month, and it's converted a lot of business through my website. And that's where sort of my investment side is. I know it's not really another platform, but it gets people this small ad spend gets people into my website, and I've closed a good amount of business through that. So
I think you're doing the right thing. I think that, everything comes down also to SEO. And so, and that's another argument for doing the newsletters. I know it's
yeah, they are indexed.
they do live on, and also YouTube. So I think, for a long game, making it part of your strategy to like at least think, okay, how can I talk about LinkedIn? And like what I would do is create a video series where it's like, I'm going to put down the 10 most popular questions that people ask about LinkedIn that my clients ask all the time. Like, for example, what should I post on LinkedIn? Or what is creator mode? And just like really basic but specific questions, find 10 of those, and then find some time to like pre-record videos on your own you can use Zoom, you can use whatever, right? To record and upload to YouTube. And then it's done, because there are videos that still get traction that are like 10, 12 years old.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Right.
Because you're just searching for something and then it comes up. Yeah. That is always.
Google is YouTube. So it's the same. It's like either an article or a video. I highly recommend you have a long game, because what we're doing right now on LinkedIn is a short game. We post and then it's instantly, we get a lot of reach, right? If you have a good post, it can go on 3, 4, even 5 days, some of them, but then it's gone. So it's a short game, and then we have to keep posting. Whereas you do one YouTube video, you do one Google, you use Google like to direct traffic to your website. Like you have a blog on your website, but you're paying for the ad spend to get people to go. That's a long game.
Yeah,
and that's
it's
good.
True.
You got to have
a good point.
Right?
I agree. You definitely have to have both. And I think too, you sort of talked about your system for your content. The other thing, and I know we're close to the end of the hour, but when you have a system, the other thing that it helps you with, because like you said, it is a short game and that content disappears, right? It's relevant for 2-3 days and then people forget about it. If that is content that is evergreen, where you can be talking about the same topic, there's stuff about LinkedIn. I've posted about downloading your LinkedIn network at least 4 times a year. And every time I post about it, people are like, you can do that? And I'm like, yeah, like, look, 3 months ago, I posted pretty much the same post. If you have a system, you can easily find posts and then just repurpose them. So maybe this was a text post and you turn it into a video, or this was a video and you turn it into a carousel. Like, use the same content and just reuse it. No one's going to know. And it makes it so much easier and so much more efficient to create your content.
I love that. I love that you mentioned that. That followers is called threads. So you post a topic and then you're like 5 ways to grow your LinkedIn account. And then you post 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And every time the person has to open it. And then you have a 6th one, which is like a call to action, like come follow me on LinkedIn, right? Post that on Twitter. So that's like 6 tweets, but they're in one thread, right?
Yeah.
But what you can do is you can screenshot all those 5 tips, right? And you can create a carousel out of it. And you'll see on LinkedIn, there's certain people who post a lot of tweets. So they just screenshotted it, put it into maybe a Canva background or something basic. And so that saves a little bit of time, but it also can kind of cross promote, because then you could say like, come follow me on Twitter, or I post often on both platforms.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I mean, right on. Maybe I do think in the coming year, like I'm going to try to invest a little bit more probably in Twitter, because I just
don't have Twitter. Come over. I don't have like a huge following, but I really like Twitter and I'm getting the hang of it.
Yeah,
I do think that I have to get a tool though. Everyone who I know who has really grown their account has recommended 1 or 2 tools, and these tools kind of help navigate and help you like post things better, find the right hashtags. Yeah. They're not automated tools, but they're more like helper tools.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, each platform is so unique, and that's why, you can just plop in your content. Like you can't take your Instagram post and put it here and put it here and put it here. Like you need to finesse your content for each platform, because they all work so differently.
So true.
It's good to show up though. You got to show up. No one's going to find you if they don't see you.
There you go. That was right on the hour, Rachel. That was a great ending. Is please everyone show up, because ultimately, you know, we don't want you to burn out. We think it's fun to be on LinkedIn, and we want it to stay fun for you. And there's always somebody there to support you and give you motivation and give you ideas. Like we've given you guys some ideas today. So hopefully you can listen into some of these things. If you feel burnt out, you're like, I don't know what to post anymore.
I'll give you an idea. You can DM me. I'll give you an idea.
So Rachel, we got to get you on Twitter. Look, Gail's already coming over to hang out with me on Twitter.
All right. I am on Twitter. I just don't have any activity. All you'll see on Twitter is like me liking all the tweets from the Atlanta Braves. So I'm very boring on Twitter.
you know that I use Twitter to get LinkedIn support to pay attention, right?
That's true. That is a good place to connect.
It's a really good place to say I need help, because they answer quickly. Well, I really appreciate your time, Rachel, and I hope that you have a wonderful Halloween coming up soon. And thank you everybody who showed up and stopped by in the chat. This video is also over on YouTube. So if you guys want to watch the replay, the quickest way is my short link, which is my kristamilleon.com. Wait, let me post that. kristamilleon.com/YT for YouTube. And that will take you to my YouTube channel. YouTube is rolling out customized handles right now. So it will look a lot like LinkedIn. Right now, it's a bunch of long numbers. You can't change them. But I don't have mine yet. So I'm waiting for them to notify me. They're like, we will notify you when yours is ready. I'm like, yeah. But I repost all this over there. So there's longevity as well. Although I've recently been told, just for your information, Rachel, that these live streams don't get the same SEO attention as a uploaded video. And somebody who knows really, really well YouTube recommended that I take this video off of YouTube, download it, and then re-upload it. So I'm like, okay, if that gets me better SEO, because they know the difference. They know that this is live. Because I think it's great to have recording. I think that's important. So
I agree. Well, this was great fun. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Rachel. I'll see you around, and hopefully we'll get you over on Twitter and get you.
There you go. Sounds good. Have a good evening.
Have a good one. Take care. Bye.